Welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pony drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Watch your tone, discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try enforcing some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun. His name is John Cena.
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Potophobia Cogswell, and I'm your host for this lovely evening. You are listening to episode number 293. My name is also John Cena.
It's not. Stop lying.
What? I'm going to make Lance ever really put a good one of those together, because I put that together in like all of 2 minutes for the live show. And it was super quiet, but it's great. So I am joined by 3 great guys. Punch, Horse, and Chira are here.
Hey, everybody.
Yo.
Hey! All right, so guys, we are continuing our trend of talking about ranked play and ELO gains and prepping for the end of the season, as we also move into talking about community and building a community and what it's like to get there. But before we make it to that point, we are going to talk about motivation to play this game and what motivates you, how to find motivation, and what your motivation stands for, because we are going to turn that over into talking about building a community on Wednesday when we interview the allmid.gg organizers of Stellani and Jonathan. They will be on the show with Chira and I believe one other person, whoever fights amongst themselves to get on the show for that night. We'll be talking about the All Mid event. We'll be talking about what it will take to build the community, why they're doing it for the collegiate, for the collegiate side of League of Legends and all of the other stuff that has to go along with that. But to prepare you, we want to talk about motivation. So I'm going to let Horse Doctor roll right into that and give it a shout.
All right, so I've been coaching for a while, and I've also been playing League for a while. And I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. Pone put me on the spot. All right, so in League, most of the people I know that are really good at League are really, really internally motivated. Because to really get good at League, you have to play a lot of solo queue, and it's something you sit down and it's something you do by yourself for the most part. And it's something a lot of introverted people do really, really well at. But it's something that people who may have done like team sports in the past or really get a lot of support from their family may not get because their family doesn't give a shit about League of Legends and stuff like that. But kind of trying to tie together, maybe making League something that's more externally. I don't know. Trying to draw an external motivation for League of Legends, I guess. But
yeah, there's something, just speaking to external League of Legends, something that I always tell people when it comes to podcasting, whatever it may be, is if you're playing a video game or you're doing a sport or whatever it may be, you need to surround yourself with people that like that you do that and people that want to help you motivate it, even if it's just, hey, good job playing that video game, or, that's cool that you play video games, not dogging on you, hounding on you. So if you've filled your life with that stimuli, you need to work on something to rope that back in and get them to understand why you do that, because having that negative reinforcement while you listen to us giving that positive reinforcement kind of sends that mixed signal. And so you get in the game and you say, Trinity Force said I'm actually better than I am and I can play better, but now I have to deal with my wife saying she doesn't like me playing video games, or I have to deal with my girlfriend saying, you should be hanging out with me 5 days a week rather than playing video games one night and enjoying what you do. Whatever it may be. I'm throwing out, wild, crazy scenarios. But
very crazy.
Yeah, to tie that back in is when I first met my girlfriend, one of the first things I said to her on the date was, listen, I do a League of Legends podcast, I play League of Legends, and I own a business that does this video game League of Legends. And she said, that's cool. And she's continued to keep that up to this date. So that's what keeps me motivated to continue to be here, even though I've got 2 kids to take care of and her to take care of as well, because they are pushing me forward. So that's really that motivation for me is not only to help you guys get better, but I have someone else pushing behind me that makes me want to get better at this game.
it's like in the movie Gladiator. Like, that guy was pretty badass, but when he had kind of that motivation that came from outside factors, his
revenge.
His family and revenge and stuff like that. He kind of pushed himself to a limit of things he may have not been able to do before. And people have different personality types. We have introverted people, we have extroverted people, we have all kinds of people. And League is something that really, really rewards like the people who can sit down and grind, and they completely they're self-sustaining engines. We're not all self-sustaining engines. Some of us require, I guess, energy to make the spirit bomb that will eventually become our elo. So kind of tying into like what would be good practice partners or kind of how to make that happen is, I think, the point of this discussion.
Yeah, more or less. What do you think, Chira, Punch? Is there anything that motivates you guys specifically that may resonate with listeners?
It's kind of funny because I know growing up, even when we used to play WoW together, like my mom, who was a single parent at the time because my parents had just gotten divorced, not a big fan of me spending time playing a lot of games. So like she thought I played way too much, and I probably did, but because of that, I was like hyper competitive to do as much as I could with the amount of time that I was going to be able to play. So it was like, take a negative in that situation and make it a positive because you didn't have another choice if you wanted to do well. So, I mean, I think more than anything, there's also a bit of perspective in the way you look at things. Because, like, you can see something as being a negative and let that affect you that way. But if you take something that probably is a negative and you use that as, hey, something to motivate you to work on something or to do more with the time that you have, I think that can be a really powerful driving force as well.
So as far as I go, I'm more internally motivated. I'll speak on the external factor in a bit, but internally, whatever game I pick up, I just want to see how far I can get. Just see what that upper threshold is. Like for Hearthstone, right? I just picked up Hearthstone. Like, you know what? I just want to get better and just keep improving until I hit that wall. And I can't until I hit the wall or I get tired of the game. You know, either one. That's just the feeling I have with whatever game I pick up. I feel like if I have more fun the harder I try, really. Yeah. I feel like I'm going to play the game, then I should just play it to the best of my ability. Externally, I didn't have much outside of League of Legends. I'm living the bachelor life, so I don't really have any pressure on me, you know, to stop me from playing video games. It's the best.
Yeah. How lucky are you?
when I joined this community, that actually pushed my motivation to get better. I started listening to the podcast when I was silver. I could hear you guys talking about getting better and how to get better. And you guys did a great job interacting with fans, myself included. And that motivated me to get better. Because you know what? These guys are having success. I want to have success too. I want to have success with this community. I felt like I belonged to a group. And then when I actually joined the podcast, you can multiply that even more so. Like, okay, I'm a host now. People actually expect me to give good advice, which we all know is wrong. But if I can improve myself as a player even more so, if I can actually hit diamond someday, then I'll feel like I'm kind of justified in my position here on the podcast, and kind of feel like I kind of like I've made it in a way. Horse might laugh at that. Yeah, somebody hitting diamond as making it, but that's kind of my goal.
I think I'm the same, and I think this is why I wanted to touch on that. And most of my friends who are really good at League can basically describe themselves as Punch describes himself as somebody who just wants to sit down and like see how good they can get at a game. And that's kind of the issue I have. I have a lot of friends who may have been good at competitive sports. They may be really good at school. They may be really good at career because their wife and family is pushing them. But League's something that really rewards you for being internally motivated unless you have stuff that externally motivates you. So I think that's kind of what we want to talk about, and maybe establishing some feedback loops or just what you would look for in somebody who would externally motivate you. So maybe we can jump into some of those things.
Yeah, go ahead if you'd like to continue the conversation.
All right, so I think first and foremost, you should find somebody that shares your vision, whatever that may be. We all play this game for different reasons. I'm kind of a tryhard in any game I play, so most of the people I play with are tryhards, and most of the people I play with are ragers too. But I'm
yeah, they kind of go for some reason. That seems to go hand in hand with every group of people that I find that's like super tryhard. We rage super hard whenever something bad or like something doesn't go our way.
Mm-hmm. And
I think,
but
right,
it's. I'm sorry, I just want to finish this up.
Go ahead.
But it is whatever you want to do. So if you want to improve at the game, you want to find other people that want to improve at the game. You don't have to improve at the game, though. So if you want to find other people that want to have fun at the game, don't hang around with people who only want to improve at the game. Hang around with other people who want to have fun at the game. And if you want to just be around people that want to learn more about the game, but maybe like don't want to have fun or don't want to improve that much, people are in a competitive scene, you'll kind of find that you'll be clashing heads a lot if like your core group is people who don't share like the same vision that you do.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. And that I would say that's specifically true if you end up duoing with somebody who's not of the same sort of mindset that you are. Because like in the past I've duoed with people, especially right when I started, that they weren't nearly as try hard as I was at the time. And because of that, like if a really bad mistake was made and then they're like, oh well, whatever, that wasn't that big of a deal, it's like, no, that was a big deal because so and so is now fed as shit and we're losing because of it. And like that's an easy way to trick yourself into blaming somebody or whatever. But like I think it's funny because I don't think that there's a difference between people that are tryhard and people that like I don't think that that's tryharding and raging is at all intermingled, because there are plenty of people that are really, really, really bad and do not succeed that rage just as hard as the people who do succeed.
Something I kind of wanted to swing back here for Punch, because you had said something earlier where you said Horse would laugh at you about making diamond and whatnot. I do want to point out that I think there seems to be this weird mindset that we are pushing for the community to be higher than what they should be, or like everybody should be diamond. Sometimes it feels like we come across that way. It's just some of the things we say, but that's when we say those little things, because we're talking about our next threshold. Our next threshold, as most of the hosts, is diamond. Like most of us are sitting on the cusp of that. While Horse came in here, his cusp was masters, and he finally hit that, and now is sitting there. Your cusp might be silver 5. Yours might be gold 5. Whatever it is, and there's no shame to say I want to hit that next rank, because that means you are getting better at the game and you're learning a little bit more. And if that's your motivation, is to just hit that 5 rank, then that's all you need to look at. Don't use that as your motivation and turn that around and find the like-minded people. There's plenty of them in the community that are trying to do the same damn thing you are.
Right.
Yeah, we want you to hit your potential and then raise your ceiling after that if you want to keep going. So I mean, if your potential, your starting goal is gold 5, and then you actually hit that, then you know what? Platinum's not that far out of reach. I used to think that. My goal was gold 5. I hit gold, and then all of a sudden I was platinum next season. Like, how the hell did that happen?
And potential can mean a lot more than just elo too. Like, it's a community, and there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people in Trinity Force, and you will find like-minded people. And it could be your potential amount of fun, or the potential amount you know about the LCS, your knowledge, or it could be your ceiling for fun or your ceiling for knowledge. It doesn't always necessarily have to be elo. There are enough people playing this game. This isn't EverQuest or some dead game. That you can find like-minded people. Not to call it EverQuest, but
on the topic of like-minded people, that's actually why I chose my current ranked 5s team. Is they're not all high elo, but they all have the same mindset, which is they try hard and they want to get better. They take it seriously. We all email outside of the game and schedule around everybody, and then try to discuss where team comp's going to be the night before. And that's why I was gravitated to them. I played with them. I was like, yeah, these guys aren't the best, but they really align with how I want to play.
Our previous ranked 5 team wasn't good enough for you? Almost winning.
You know what? They're
Alienware.
They're pretty equivalent, I'd say.
Just one was probably a little more ragey than the other one.
Right.
The first one could fall apart pretty quickly.
Yeah, we kind of held on by threads.
Speaking of rage, like the one thing you really, or speaking of like not having rage is okay, but like the one thing you always want to look for is if it's somebody you play the game with a lot, it's really important that they give like constructive feedback. Or if it's somebody you really want to maybe bounce ideas off of or something, constructive feedback. If it's somebody you want to have fun with, maybe not. But constructive feedback is one of the most like valuable things you can have when you're playing games, or anything with like somebody, studying, playing games, even like a relationship. Not having constructive feedback can be very difficult. So it's really valuable skill, and it's something I look for in people in like every aspect of my life. Because not only do I want somebody who can like tell me something where I can learn, I kind of want to get better at like most of the things that I do. So
right.
And giving constructive feedback is actually something you can practice along with just not raging. I mean, I used to be a rager, and I would get angry, but I made a conscious effort to actually tone that down a lot. And I feel like I've been pretty successful with that. I'm not fully there, but at least I won't start yelling at somebody else, and I'll just kind of fume to myself silently.
I'll say that
anger in. That's healthy, right?
Yeah, I'll say that bringing people on like Chris Alphanar and Weldon Green, and we've talked to Hazel talking about teammates and how to deal with that. We've talked. Even we've had a couple psychologists on the show. We've had other people talking with them, and just listening to their advice while on the show has helped me a lot to figure out where I want to go within the community, because I'm still trying to be a community member while we move this forward.
Right.
But what's humorous about what I try to surround myself with as a personal motivation is I spend a lot of time talking to people who are a lot better than me, and I spend a lot of time taking a lot of shit from a lot of people who are better than me. Like, if I could show you the guys at chat logs between Horse, Vol, me, Jonah, or his brother or whatever, like it's like if most people couldn't sit in that because they would feel belittled by the end of the day. And don't get me wrong, I do, but it makes motivation to get better because I want to be as good as those guys one day. So for some of you that might work, if you can find those people that are way better than you, and if you take belittling to work, use that. Otherwise, positive reinforcement.
Adam, when I started playing this game with you, how much did I rage?
A lot.
Yeah. How much do I rage now?
I don't know. I turned off all chat.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't much anymore. I've gotten like
you left most things off.
Yeah, I got way better. And to go back to the whole constructive criticism portion of this, it's because I had a couple really good friends sit me down and yell at me because it was straight up an intervention. And this was like season 2, season 3, when I was arguably trying to grind way harder than I'd ever grinded, and I capped out at like gold 1. And then season 4, I got yelled at, and I tried changing, or at least trying to look at it in the perspective of like, would I want to play with me?
Yeah.
And that straight up was like, no, I would hate to play with me because I'm an asshole. I need to stop. So I did. And it was a lot of work, but I will say nowadays you see something really, really goofy in game, I bitch about it, but I find it really, really funny. And it's made the game that much more enjoyable for me, and especially now that I'm working all the time and I don't have that much free time to play ranked or league as much as I potentially could have played in the past. And I really, really wish I had learned those skills back then because it would have really helped out.
Did you join this show in season 3?
Tail
end of season 3?
Yes, tail end of season 3.
Oh, Jesus Christ, he's been growing with us.
I know, it's bad. But, like, I really, really had to work at it. So it's not something that just happens overnight. And I'm a way better player now than I was back then.
Oh, I apparently have to roll up my sleeves because sleeves are for scrubs. That's what
I think that transitions into a good point, and Jared kind of loosely touched on that. But holding yourself accountable is one of the most important things we're going to do, or you can do. We're going to talk about more things in this episode, and we've already talked about some things that makes like a good practice partner. And you can't like be a shitty practice partner or like a shitty friend and expect people who have all these like awesome qualities to stay around you.
Right.
They'll leave at some point. It's just how life works, and that's just how it's going to go. So hold yourself accountable and remember that if you want people to do these things, or if you want people to do anything, you need to be the first one to do it often.
Good point. If you want to see a change, you have to make the internal change first and try to push it that way, because nobody else is going to make that change. Nobody else is doing those reflections. No one else is trying to make themselves better like you are. And if you want to see your group change, you want to see this, you know what? If you want to see the network community change, you might have to be the first step to moving it in the direction you think it should go, because honestly, I'm happy with the way we go, and there's a lot of positive people in here. I just received an email today. I'm sorry I don't remember your name off the top of my head. I know who you are, but he hit gold 5. He hit his gold point for this season, and he said, because of our last talk, because of all of our discussion, because of the people in the community, I've hit there. And it, like,
guy just brought it up in Twitch chat. I think it's Trogdeer.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I see Trogdeer. See, I knew it was you. I just couldn't remember the name. I read it at the very end of the day. I'm like, I gotta go, and I'm running out the building as I'm reading it. But yeah, it's because of the community. We hit it. Cheery, your camera went crazy.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I think coming back to the look for somebody you can look at your gameplay objectively is a good point that needs to come back here, and that's if you find another like-minded person that wants to get you better, you don't have to go through and pay for Patreon, for example, through us to get a replay review. One of your friends can look at it because, honestly, even two people at Silver 5 could find something wrong with each other's gameplay. Whether that be, hey, I know you should be warding here. I know you don't do it or whatever it is, but you should be warding at this point, or you should be trying to harass in lane. It's what is it? Well, we talk about backseat Hearthstone is like the most fun game to play right now because you get to see both people's hands, so you know what plays are the best to play. Same thing goes with replay reviews. Even if you get your buddy to look at your first 15 minutes of gameplay, you'll probably improve more than if you looked at it.
That's one of the big things I look for, and I don't know if it's something because I actually never thought about it, but I always gravitate to the type of person that is really objective about their own gameplay as well. I think I don't know. Most of my friends are really good at League, but they think they're really bad, and they pick their own gameplay apart, even in game, and they get really, really, really frustrated. I've had a friend break his knuckles because he hit him against the desk so hard after he did something in a League game. And
I've got a mark right here on my desk. Here, who wants to see that right there? That's from a League game.
What?
Yeah, from a very
just a CS.
All right, and we are by no means advocating punching your desk in rage.
No. The reason I actually started, there's somebody in the community that I actually do Heart of the Cards. You can check that out with. The other host, his name was Vom, and I played a couple of games of League with him. And the reason I added him and started talking to him a lot is he was already in Diamond, so he has no reason to want to get better because he's made it. And all these guys are, I want to get Diamond, so I made it. And I was playing bot lane with him one day, and he whispered me, and he's, if you see anything I'm doing wrong in lane, tell me. I'm not good at bot lane or something like that. And those are the people that I gravitate towards, and those are the people that I usually hang out with. And he gets very upset as Hearthstone mistakes and stuff like that too, because that's how I need to be to get better. And that's how the people around me need to be to get better. And those are the people that can look at their own faults. And if they can look at their faults, sure as hell they can see my faults.
Yeah, for sure. I think, the other day I was playing Braum into a Yasuo. Guess how many times I ulted into Yasuo's win wall during the game? The number's lower than you think, but just guess. Twice.
3.
Twice.
All right.
2 times where it mattered, actually. I had queued up my ult, and the win wall came out as I was queuing up my ult. And I immediately typed in the game, I'm fucking terrible. I'm sorry. I'm so bad. And so now I know. Wait for the win wall if I'm going to use Braum's ult. Just wait for it.
And a year and a half ago, Adam's response would have been, cheap champion, you're bad LTP.
But yeah, they go with horses.
Ban Yasuo.
That's the same thing I'm doing. I'm I can't believe I just did that. And I'll say it. I'm sorry, guys. I that ult should have hit 4 people, but the guy outplayed me. And that's actively how you get better. Admit your faults.
It's a lot of breaking the ego down.
That was just such a crazy realization for me, and I'm not trying to hype bomb up or anything, but I've been playing League for a long time, and not to say anything bad about anybody else in this community, but I play bot lane a lot in normals, and I have a lot of supports I play bot lane with, and T-Force, and Bronze, and Silver, and Gold, and stuff like that. I've never had anyone message me anything like that, or whisper anything to me like that in a game, and it's just shows somebody who's really critical of their mistakes, and somebody who really, really does want to get better, and it's just this guy's already in Diamond, and nobody's messaged me this before. What the hell?
No, real talk here, Horse. After this game, if you'll play one with us, can I play bot lane with you as Braum, and you can tell me how bad I am?
If I have time.
All right, if you have time. If not, we'll do it
Busy
later.
Man. Busy
Are you guys gonna kiss afterwards too?
I would kiss Horse. Do you want to see a Horse kiss on stream?
No.
He'll just have a long face. Let's talk.
Thanks, D-Claude Jr. You've done your job.
That was a good one.
No,
yeah.
it wasn't.
Yes, German Shepherds. Mine was going crazy in the background. All right, you know what? I think we kind of touched on it, but let's also talk on what you guys are going to look for in practice partners and how you can use practice partners, because Horace was touching on it here with finding somebody that wants to pick out your flaws. There's got to be somebody within the T-Force community. Again, you can join the in-game chat room, T-Force. You can join the TeamSpeak, which is ts.trinityforcepodcast.com. You can hit us up on Twitter. You can go to Reddit/r/T/T-Force Network. All of these are places to find people. Post there, say, hey guys, I'm trying to get better. People usually post. But when it comes to finding practice partners, I think like-minded people is really the only way to go about that, right? Find somebody who wants to get better at the game.
Unless it was you and me when we were in our rage phase. And
Well, we're like-minded. We both just hated the game.
Yeah,
we
that
find a
was-
rage partner.
Yeah, we were.
Aren't our
we were
teammates
just
so bad?
raging all the time, and then like one of us would talk shit, and the other one would follow up about it. We got better, like leaps and bounds nicer than we used to be. It's pretty miraculous.
That's right.
I think there are other ways to find practice partners. Like sometimes it's not. You can't just like. There's no tender for league partners. Sometimes there's trial and error, and sometimes like just the right person comes along. And if you play enough games, you will kind of find people. And if you just like hop, in all honesty, if you hop into TeamSpeak and you play games with 100 random people, like you're gonna like 5 people. And you kind of see that happen too. Like you see people who kind of, although they may not think about it actively, they do have the same goals, and those kind of groups or cliques you gravitate together in league and in life or anything. But you'll never find those like-minded partners, those like-minded cliques, if you don't like get out there into TeamSpeak or get out there into somewhere else and try. And just play with random people. Like sometimes, and I've been making an effort to do this, and Pone's been making an effort to do this, but you have to hop into T-Force chat or something and try and play with 4 people you've never played with before.
Yeah, I'll say there's people that I've played with in T-Force chat that I would never play with again, but that's because they're not like it's just because there's too much of an age gap between some of the people that I play with. No, I'll tell you the one game that I played recently I carried very hard in because of the skill difference, and I didn't mind that, and I didn't mind if they would have carried me. It was that I can't, unfortunately, I can't talk with people. I find it very hard to talk with people that are 10 years older than I am. I mean, I'm 30. I'm 30 in November. And if I find somebody that's 20, like my brother, it's very hard to play the game with them because our mindsets are so totally different when it comes to just life and video games and everything that has to go around that, and the way we talk and our ideals and everything is just totally different. So it's very hard for me to connect with people like that. But you get a little bit more of the people that are like pushing a little bit older. This is again for me, 23, 24. I find myself I'm able to connect with them, and I'm able to play with them, and I'm able to find something that we have in common. At that point, if you're in common, even if we're busting each other's balls and you're younger, I've got something in common with you. I'm not trying to stereotype. I'm just saying, like, I need to find something that I like about you.
And okay, that you can also go into that same sort of internal discussion if you know the kind of people that you're about to play with for a game. So if you know you're about to play with 4 people that honestly aren't going, like, they're just playing to play and they're going to goof around with certain champions or whatever, and you recognize that before you get into it, you're way less likely to rage out as well if things don't go perfect throughout the game. So it kind of goes back to Punch's whole talk between like how he ended up working with his ranked team, finding like-minded people if you're specifically going for a certain goal, but also just recognizing the people that you're going to play with anyway. And that goes, not just for like our little community here, but also in solo queue. If you run into people who are trying to rage out, there are some certain things you can do to potentially mitigate how angry that they get, or things you can not do to make sure that you don't tilt them really, really, really bad.
And keep an eye out.
You get to a point.
Sorry.
Punch, go.
I'll go. I think playing the game. I don't want to say just solo queue because we also want to keep this open to just regular normal games as well. But just playing the game, you could also find a lot of people that you'd want to play with in the future. For example, if you're a jovial individual and you just like to have a positive influence in your team and just just be overly nice and crack jokes, and then every so often you'll find somebody that kind of hops off you, and you find you've got good chemistry together, and then you can message that person after the game. It's like, hey, you want to keep playing together? Same thing if you try hard in solo queue. If you're recording timers in chat, flash timers, warning of jungle ganks, buff timers, somebody might message you after the game and be like, hey, this guy is trying really hard. I'm trying really hard. We both want to get better at this game. They might message you and say, hey, you want to group up again in the future? I know it happens to me every so often.
That happened. All right, my buddy just stayed at my place last week, and he hasn't ever had a computer that's as nice as the one that I had, and he was playing ranked
Josh?
all week long. Yeah, my buddy Josh, my good friend Lord Berg. So he's in his promos. He played his promos from silver to gold. 3 different sets of promos last week, and he had AFKers in the 2 first sets of promos, and finally in his last set of promo, he won 1, lost 2, and then he ended up getting into a game with a guy. I believe this is how it went. Or he may have won the first one and then gotten into a game with a guy who wanted to play Nautilus top. And apparently the Nautilus top dude just ripped it up and did great. So afterwards, my buddy Josh gets in a nice little conversation with him, as him as a friend, whatever, gives him a little honor token thingy, and queues up again. Same guy gets in that game, asked to play Nautilus again, doesn't care where. So a bunch of people are starting to rage out, and he's just like, hey, look, no, just let this guy play Nautilus. Guy plays Nautilus mid, carries the shit out of the game again. Next thing you know, my buddy's in gold. So like, and that's something that wouldn't have happened if you didn't look for the brighter side with certain things.
And the key to finding these people. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to bring up, because I didn't bring it up the first time, but the key to finding these people is to have having a positive influence on your team, whether that's keeping everybody in good spirits, or shot calling, or providing information. If you're raging at people, you're not gonna make friends. Right. That's obvious. So just
nobody wants to be friends with an asshole.
Right. Help your team out. Do the best you can for your team, and you will find these people.
Yeah, I think what Punch is touching on is mutual respect. And like if you do well in a game and somebody else does well in a game and you add each other, like you might just hit it off. And even if you don't do that well in a game, if you do pretty well, but like you're positive morale for your team and that guy does really well, still mutual respect, but on other grounds like positive behavior and stuff like that. Touching on the normal games, Cheer kind of talking about that, you do get to a point where you have to recognize that if like a group of people is so far like away from like what you want to do with the game, sometimes like abstinence is the best prevention. And I find this like sometimes I'll jump into a normal game with 4 people who like really, really don't give a crap and they're playing troll champs. So I'll go and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have fun, this is gonna be awesome. And I get in the game and like I start losing to terrible players and I just want to crush everyone. I'm just like, I can't do this.
Yeah, I know that feeling. That's why that's my problem with in-houses, like playing them, and the reason you probably haven't seen a lot of them around recently. You can thank me. I'm the reason. I asked people to play. Ooh. I asked people to, instead of doing 10v10 in-houses in game, to find 3 or 4 like-minded people and play team builder or draft, because you're playing against other random people where you can bring more. Not only can you bring more people in the community, but you can also play against people who are also tryharding, so you can get better at the game. Because what happens a lot of times in these in-houses, the same thing that Horse saying, you get that like brand top lane who feeds the entire time, but Udyr really wants to try really hard, but they're playing against a bunch of like 2 diamonds on the other team, and it's just a giant shit show of mix of people who are playing this game, and only 2 out of the 10 people are having fun. And then is that fun? Do you want to continue those? Well, they'll keep playing because they think they need to, and the reality of it is that you would have had more fun if you would have just taken 3 other people and gone and played a 5v5, because you would have found 3 people that are like-minded.
Honestly, that comes down to playing with like-minded people in the first place. Because if you get a full, 5v5 in-house of people that are all kind of the right mindset, and one team isn't ridiculously outmatched compared to the others, those are fun games when it's 10 people that are all in the same game just talking mad smack to each other, like I've done many times, and it's great. But like, you just have to find the right combination of people that don't take things personally or aren't going to get super, super mad if something doesn't go their way.
Well, let's talk about bad or external stimuli. I guess stimuli is plural, isn't it? Of what can be bad and what if you're surrounding yourself with people. There's actually some good points here, and one of them that should be touched on the podcast, and that's Horse had wrote down here why competition over elo can be a bad thing. We actually, at the very beginning of this season, to 100 episodes ago, or 50, it was more like 50 episodes ago, we had said that we're having a competition to get the diamond, and one of us took it more seriously than the other 2 of us, and it has been very stressful for certain people within the group. I'm not going to name names because there's no reason to, but
Was it you?
No, it was not me, and it was
Punch
not
is a
you, and it was
toxic
not
tryhard.
Days. But no, there's just it weighs on people differently, because if you are halfway through the season and you're trying really hard to get to that next rank, but the other two people aren't trying, what motivation do you have to get? Like, we had put that contest together because we thought it would all be motivation to get to Diamond faster, but there was no motivation there because we were all like, we'll just get it later.
Yeah.
What's faster, like building 2 houses or 2 people building 1 house? That's basically what this comes down to. Or like if you have a group of 4 people and they're competing, they build 4 houses, or would you build 1 house faster? And that's not always how solo queue rank works, but I think you get the point to a degree. And
Yeah.
You also have the issue of if 4 people build the houses, the 4 people, one could be upset that his house is slower. One could be upset that someone built their house by throwing bananas at it because he's a toxic Soraka player. Just stuff happens, and it's much easier to work towards a common goal at times. And sometimes you may think that competition's healthy, and it may feel fine for you if you're in a group of people, but you don't know how everybody else feels. And I think that's kind of what Adam's touching on.
Yes.
That like he thought it'd be fine for everybody, and you can't put yourself in everybody's shoes sometimes. So it's just good to avoid stuff like that. Or you don't always have to. Sometimes, like, I have a group of friends. I know that like nobody's gonna give a shit because everyone's super try hard and it's whatever. But if you don't know, it's better to err on the safe side.
Okay.
Build that house together.
Pick up the
Motivational
tools,
speech.
and hold
Brickmaster
hands.
race.
That's probably the best way I've ever heard that explained, is that instead of trying to hide our secrets and talk about our, like my secret Soraka or my secret Braum or whatever it be, tell the other person. Like, I just actually, before this podcast, I said, hey, Punch, Saturday, Sunday, you want to get up early and duo together? Because I've been practicing so much support, I might as well support the guy who is...
Support somebody who you can count on?
Yes, exactly.
I don't know if I can count on Pwn as a problem.
You
And
can't.
Punch asks how
he's
much
real-
Patreon money for the carry.
Punch, not Pwn. Punch. I have a 60% win rate on Braum. Let's go. That's
how many
like...
games
How
you
many?
played?
Wait. Do you have 3 games played and 2 are wins?
No, I have like 20 games played, I think.
Oh, that's not terrible.
It's not 100 games by any means. I think I have like 25 or 30 games of Soraka, and I got a 56% win rate, so I'm doing pretty good as a support now.
You know what I just realized is that DeClaude is the pun master, but Horse is the analogy master.
Ah, there we go.
He's got some.
I don't know.
crazy-
You should see some of the gold that I spew at Adam during the day.
Too bad you can't do it on the
You need to save
podcast.
him for
I
the
know.
podcast, Shiro.
A lot of it's extremely inappropriate, and I'm sure.
What was the other
listeners
one you
don't
threw at
appreciate
me? We have to talk the best one. What was it? Shit.
Oh, was it the shit hat?
The shit hat. Yes.
Yes,
I already had this conversation with Horse.
we've
Yeah.
heard that.
No,
The
what was?
shit hat.
Come on. I need the analogy of the shit hat. I don't care.
no.
Oh, no, it
No,
was. Never mind. No,
it
no.
actually
No.
it can't be on the podcast.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Never mind. I was thinking it was something else. No,
It's
the
extremely inappropriate.
It's,
All
it's,
right.
it-
You
it's
guys
like
didn't hear anything.
Nothing
shit
was said.
hat.
Not a single thing was said. Hashtag
All right.
shit hat.
the hashtag
Transition.
shit hat.
I think this touches on something that I talk about a lot, and I talked about it in the last episode. In that, like, if you spend time between your games raging, somebody else out there is thinking how to beat you, and basically, like, you need to think how to beat your opponents. And this is the same thing. Like, if you're in this group of people and you're having a competition and you're worried about hiding stuff from people and doing stuff, you're beating your friends and not your opponents. And I kind of relate everything to that, in that you want to beat the guy on the other team. You don't want to rage at yourself. You don't want to rage at your friends. You don't want to do stupid stuff and cry about your team. Every second, like, wasting time not thinking about beating the other guy is a second wasted if you're seriously getting better at this game or getting better at anything.
Sorry, I'm arguing with people in chat about my Braum play. They're telling me it's only
They're saying
49%,
48%,
which is
yeah.
bullshit. It was bullshit. It was 60% before this weekend. Then I had a string of bad teammates. It's all my teammates' fault.
Yep. Now we're falling right back into old traps. You know what, Adam?
I had to do it. I
I'm
had
gonna
to do it.
flex my E-Peen real quick. I have an 88% win rate with Udyr this season.
I might do it
Wait.
with Shira, but I
Is
can't
that
do
8
it
out
with
of
you until
9?
you bring your win percentage up a little bit, Pwn.
That's 8 out of 9.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so one thing I want to touch on, and this is like a technique I use to get better at most of my games, is having a mentor and finding the right person. One thing, like basically, anytime I want to get good at something, like when I played League, I had my brother help me because he's way better than me. And this summer when I was grinding to Masters, he's higher than me, so I had him watch me when I was playing some of my games, and I go to his house and play. When I wanted to get really good at Hearthstone, I saw that I had somebody who was like rank 20 legend on my friends list. So clearly, I had this person help me get better at the game, and it's not something you have to get ashamed of. And people are always like, "Oh, you're getting carried by this guy, or you don't know anything. You learned from this guy, or blah blah blah." Like, getting carried in game is one thing, but you should never be ashamed of getting carried. Like knowledge, as far as knowledge and learning about the game is concerned.
Yeah, that is the best way to get better.
And well, it's not just that. That's just about taking advantage of resources that are available to you.
That's true too.
Why else would
So
you listen
if
to
you're
this
not
podcast?
doing that, you're doing yourself a massive
Well, some
disservice.
people are always like, "Oh, you don't." Some people have recently been ripping on somebody I know who's going for a certain rank and saying that they got carried by their friend or blah blah blah, or they are playing this OP champ because this other person told them this champ was OP, or they're only using a strategy in Hearthstone or a card game or any game that they learned from somebody else, and it's really, unless like the person's like doing it for you, it's nothing to be ashamed of. And you shouldn't ever be ashamed that you don't know something. You should always just be trying to learn.
I feel like we could just straight send a link to our scrub mentality episode.
Right.
There you go.
That's exactly where I was going to go. If you didn't hear, I'm going to link. I got to find it. I'm going to link it in the show notes. If you did not listen to our scrub mentality episode where we talked about if you find something cheap and terrible, well, it's in the game, abuse
It's your
it.
fault for not using it.
Yeah, it's your fault for not using it. If somebody is giving you the tools to win, okay. Here's how we do it in IT, where we have people trying to start fires, and they're rubbing sticks together to start fires, and I give you matches and say, here you go, this is how you start fires, and they don't use the matches because they want to use the sticks. That's your own goddamn fault for not starting a fire.
They want to use Internet Explorer. I can't stop them.
Exactly.
Use Chrome, damn it. And they say, no, I don't want to use Chrome. I want to use Internet Explorer.
It's the rubbing sticks
I don't
analogy.
get it.
I use it every single day. I got people all day that just want to rub fucking sticks together. They click. They don't use tab. They're doing that. Why is it not working?
Yeah, I mean, if your goal is to get better and you're not taking advantage of the best resources to do just that, that's on you. I've actually got a problem now that I'm trying to overcome is I like figuring things out for myself.
Yeah, you're a piece of shit. You need to stop.
No, I mean, it's something that that kind of slows me down a lot professionally. So if I run into a problem, I like to figure it out for myself before going to somebody else that knows more and then just asking them. But I mean, obviously, yeah, thank you. I mean, obviously, just going to ask somebody for help is the easiest way to solve the problem. The same goes for League of Legends or any game. Like, I want to figure things out for myself whenever I'm learning a new game. Like, okay, I don't want to look at the guides. I just want to play around for a bit. But I'm going to use Hearthstone as an example again because it's the newest game that I'm learning. Right. Just by listening to the Hearth of the Cards podcast, listening to Horace and Valm and Chris Alphanar and
Alex,
thank you. And watching like all the streams I can find, I feel like I know a lot about the game right now, more so than I ever could have gotten to just by putting together random decks and seeing what sticks.
Now,
you know
there's
what's
something.
funny?
All right, hold on. There's something to be said about this, and that is it worth spending an hour to figure out on your own something that you could ask for help with and apply it immediately in 15 minutes?
Right. You know what I love and hate about listening to podcasts, whether it's League or Hearth or whatever. Again, we're just gonna use Hearth as an example because that's the latest one we're all learning.
Because it's current.
Yeah. That's I used to play Magic the Gathering. It was never competitive. It was just people in school. I realized how bad I was at Magic the Gathering now that I'm playing Hearthstone because I never thought about value of cards based on mana cost of card. It was more or less, what does this card do? I'm going to put it in my deck. Now it's, okay, the value of this card is because
it's all about value.
Because this is what I will have at this point in the game and da-da-da. I could go on and on. But same thing with League of Legends. And when you're buying items and you have that gold to spend, we always tell you to do it to maximize the amount of gold that you have to get the farthest in the game that you can at that point. And there's a lot of times where you're sitting at that 900 gold threshold. You only need 200 gold to be able to purchase that Aegis Legion, but instead you buy a Pink Ward and a Elixir Because that
Right.
500 gold value to walk into that next team fight is more than that 900 gold if you didn't spend it at all. Like, if you just had 900 gold instead of spending that 500, you are getting more value out of your gold. So we're trying to teach you how to and we've taught you how to do that. Would you have thought of that on your own? I wouldn't have. If it wasn't for this show or listening to other podcasts, I would have never thought about doing that.
That's especially true if in actually buying those items, that's enough to end up swaying like a fight at Dragon or something like that. You're gonna be making that money back in assists. So like, that's just knowing the appropriate thing to do. And Jesus Christ, a lot of that comes with just playing a lot and experience.
Yeah, but I mean that like we were just talking about, that takes a lot of time for you to play a lot and get that experience before you finally realize, hey, you know what? Maybe I should buy wards instead of buying this one cloth armor. Because what's going to help you more? When you first started the game, it's like, oh, cloth armor gives me more stats. When you play the game for a long period of time, you're going to know it's wards. If you talk to somebody that's more experienced, in 10 seconds, they'll tell you, buy wards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what the concept of a vacuum is? Like trying to learn something in a vacuum?
Yes.
All right. So analogy time again.
Why don't you explain it real quick for anybody who may not understand? I would assume most would, but you might as well.
So like a vacuum basically means there's nothing around you. If you're trying to figure something out in a vacuum, you're trying to figure it out completely by yourself.
With no outside influence.
So let's take Einstein, and this is how I'm going to explain it in terms of League or other games. Imagine if Einstein tried to learn everything in a vacuum, and all hundreds and thousands of years of science and mathematics, and not thinking about Galileo or Aristotle or any of these other guys. He wouldn't have been able to do almost anything he had done. It took him his entire lifetime to get to the point he did. And that's because he was able to like springboard or trampoline off all these work and all this knowledge everybody else has compiled. And if he had tried to come up with
reinvent the wheel,
variables, and reinvent calculus himself, and reinvent linear algebra himself, and all these theories from physics that came out hundreds of years ago, he wouldn't have done anything that he did. It's too much time. You can't do that within your lifetime. And it's just really like you have to take advantage of the resources that you have, because you can't expect to do stuff like that in a vacuum.
Go watch Cosmos if you want a good example of that, because that's actually because that show actually walks you through a lot about like how they had theories hundreds of years ago and people compounded on that because they studied those theories and studied what they've learned since then. That show actually does a really good job of going exactly off of what Horst said here. People working outside of the vacuum and going back and reading old technology or old posts. There are some times where I was actually sitting in the game, loading into a game. I was seeing Shyvana being played as a jungler, and I thought to myself, many patches ago, Shyvana top was awesome, and I love how she's evolved based on how the meta's evolved. And somebody looked back and said, why did Shyvana top work? All right, now she's going to work better in the jungle because of these reasons. And they took that same idea and they made it better because of what they had their past experience.
Mm-hmm.
So
that brings up a good point, because I think one reason people might not look for existing information is kind of
pride,
because they want to be innovative, right? Like they want to come up with a new strategy by themselves, and if they can find a strategy that has moderate success, then they feel more accomplished.
They want to come up with something
the example
novel.
You just used right there is somebody took existing information and then they came up with a new strategy because of the information they saw. You see what I'm saying there?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I'm not gonna...
So like innovation is still possible outside of that vacuum. Like you don't have to feel like you don't have to restrict yourself in that way.
Figure out why it works so well for that position, and then try to innovate it in someplace else. But play more than 1 or 2 games before you email us and tell us that Smite bottom lane works so well. Like,
right. I mean,
play 50 games or whatever it is, 25
The best
games.
way to come up with a new strategy is to absorb all the information you can first, so you can figure out, before you step into your first game, I think this is going to work because XYZ. As opposed to, I hope this works because it sounds like fun.
But when you think about, when you are innovating, you have to think about it in a vacuum of the best players available. That is something you have to think about. That's why, remember how that was that long-running joke? We never talked about Smite Zyra, and we never went back to it. It's because every time that we had the conversation outside of the podcast, it's because not everybody was trying to look at it in the best possible light we could, like you're playing against master-level players. And we couldn't make it work against master-level players, but we could make it work against silver players. But because we're abusing mechanics that players don't have. So we're trying to, that's why we tell you if it works up until a point, abuse it until it stops working, and then figure out why it doesn't work and evolve it.
It came down to, is the reason this works because you know how to play that champion or because it's actually good?
Yeah.
And anybody can innovate. Like, I can go into the game, I can close my eyes, and I can click the item shop and build something that's completely new. I think the key thing we keep saying here is that making something that works. And sometimes you can't make everything work, but like that game knowledge and the understanding you get from other people is what makes it work. And people, I hate to say this, I really don't want to knock anybody in low elo, but people will be much more impressed by like a Diamond 1 only AP Ergot player than a Bronze 5 AP Ergot player, because he found a way to make it work. And that's cool, and that's kind of what people want to see. But like that Bronze 5 AP Ergot player might not be bad. He might not have a bad idea, and he might be like a really smart player that came up with something really cool. But if you can't prove to other people that it works, I mean, you're not an innovator, you're a mad scientist.
Look back at like AP Tryndamere before that caught on in popularity. One guy was playing that for a while, and then it was considered broken OP, and people didn't know how to deal with it. So you saw Tryndamere bans coming out of nowhere again.
Never would have thought.
Right.
Got played in the LCS once, got banned
But
forever.
The only reason people even saw that was because one guy who just happened to be really, really good had figured something out that hadn't been done. Same with Brushfire, like the Brushfire Zyra thing.
Soapbox yet? Talk about bans. I don't have my soapbox near me, but I really want to talk about this Garen ban thing. But we'll save that for another episode, because that just made me really mad.
I wish you had just a crate box of Irish Spring, and you just placed your camera on the ground while you spoke.
Listen, I ain't got nothing down here. We'll just stand right here on my soapbox.
Basement
and we'll start,
floor.
Yeah, basement floor. We'll start screaming about bans and why you're banning the wrong things. Everyone want to look at my toes. Who hates toes?
It's disgusting.
I think I want to touch on a quote that one of the guy who originally taught me StarCraft, and I haven't played any other games with him, sadly, because he ended up going to med school, and now he has a nice family. But
how dare he?
What he told me is when he's learning a game, he would copy people who were better than him until he could understand it. And then he would take that understanding and apply it to his own play and maybe tweak it a little bit and do stuff like that. And I think that, I hate to say like you should just copy someone. And maybe that isn't the best way for some people to do it. But you get to a point where if you know that person is doing the right thing, or there's a really, really high chance or percentage that they're doing the right thing, and you copy it, you're probably gonna get to the point where you do the right thing as well, and then you'll understand why it's right. Whereas if you just keep guessing and guessing and guessing and guessing and guessing, you might not ever come up with the right thing, and you might not have the skill level of that really high level player to tell if it's right. And let's say like the Silver 5 player came up with the AP Tryndamere build that was really popular and eventually had to get nerfed. If he didn't have the skill level to play with Tryndamere, and he E'd backwards and didn't press R in time or something, he may have never like found out that AP Tryndamere is good. But if he just like copied somebody and then got to the point where he could do it and he understood why it was good, he could just like kind of work in reverse, I guess.
Building blocks. There are building blocks when playing this game. There are understanding basics. There are, and basics kind of extends to a lot of things. That's why we have 4 wards.
Well, especially as the age of this game increases, the basics level rises too, because there's way more that you need to know. Yeah, like this game, it's been 5 seasons worth of time to learn how to play this game. So people who've been playing it a really long time should, for the most part, have the basics pretty down pat.
And I, you know, at this point, I don't want to try to define basics, but it's learning basics. It's learning intermediate skills, and even at this point, I would call intermediate skills warding properly, and those aren't even basic. Just warding is basics.
Salt.
But like intermediates is warding properly, or at least looking at the wards. I don't know. We can quantify them later.
Playing around them.
Yeah. Playing around them, but I don't know. That's advanced. That's actually advanced because fucking platinum players don't do that. Platinum players don't even auto attack. Salt, you're gonna get me started. I was complaining about this weekend.
Here's a window into the topics of the week for everybody. The new tips and beginner tips are stuff Adam sees his teammates not doing in solo queue, so he wants to talk about in the show.
I'm playing Braum! Auto attack, for God's sakes! Okay, Horse over here is like, if you're a support, you should auto attack, and I'm auto attacking a support. I'm like trying to weave my auto attacks in, so I hit multiple people, but nobody else does. I'm Zed. I've hit every button but right click.
Adam,
fuck you.
Did you ask your AD carry to auto attack nicely? Or
I didn't type
did you
anything.
Yell at him to auto attack?
I don't
See,
yell at
you're not
anybody.
helping your situation here at all by doing nothing.
When I smack them, you should auto attack. No, that wastes my time to try to type that. You should know in Platinum.
If you don't
should
tell
know.
me, I won't know unless you
how
tell
is he
me.
supposed
I gotta
to know
auto attack
unless he
creeps.
did it?
You should
Yeah.
know
Just
by
ping
that
the
time.
shit out of him.
You don't know what people do or don't
Ping
know.
him every time I auto attack. Start pinging, ping, 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 ping.
Have you ever played support? No, actually, I haven't played support in a while. Anytime I'm playing support or jungle and engage champion, I ping so hard so people know what to do.
I do actually. I usually ping the cannon minion when I'm gonna hit it with my thing. I'm always ping,
I see it a
ping.
lot.
And then I'm always like, I'll do I'm on my way ping. That means I'm going in. Ping, ping, like I try to do that a lot.
I actually really like it when supports ping the minion you're about to take. Because a lot of the time I see they have a charge. I'm sitting there waiting for them to take the minion. Like, go on. It's yours. It's yours. And then it just dies. And then I look like an idiot because I didn't bother to last hit the minion. I was waiting for support to take it. Yeah.
I just take minions now. I don't even care. I just hit them. But yeah, I think we're gonna roll it in. What else we got here? Do we have anything else to wrap this all up? What is our wrap up in this show? How do you make people feel good about everything we've talked about?
I think for the one thing we didn't touch on a ton is there's the internal motivation, the stuff you give yourself, and the external motivation. You don't have to be one. I think most people I see, and I hang out with a lot of people who are successful at league and successful at school and sports and stuff like that. It's a combination of the two. So it's really finding like that reason to be motivated for yourself and the people that help you maybe keep that reason or just like raise the level of motivation or something like that. And external motivation doesn't have to be one person. It doesn't have to be 5 people. It could be the Trinity Force community. It could be a group of 3 drunk guys on Slack. It really could be anything. And like, it really can't. I shouldn't be stumbling on my words, but it really can be anything. And like the reason I joined Trinity Force Network is because it was a like-minded community of people who wanted to help other people get better at the game. Mm-hmm. And that helped me springboard off that and like get better at it myself and just help more people do it. And it really can be anything. So just find what works for you. I can't tell you what will work for you. There will be some trial and error. You will have some people that you might think you like and you won't like, and you might have some people you don't think you like and you'll end up liking them. But just try, go out there, do it, get in TeamSpeak, post on Reddit. If you don't put your foot in the door, don't expect anything to happen.
I think that sums it up really well. Yeah, there you go. That's an hour worth of starting to build a community, learning to reflect on yourself, and don't look at it like Horse Doctor with a long face. That's the only horse joke I got.
You
unfortunately.
can't. You need to stop.
I just want to do it because I can.
Leave the puns to the professionals.
It's more fun to do it this way because you get so mad at me for using the same pun more than once, or you get so mad at me for doing bad puns that it's just as fun as saying good puns.
You need to hold your horses.
All right.
Well,
Cheering and trampling all over my fun.
Color.
Another day at the racetrack.
All right, guys.
Guys,
we ended in first place tonight. You guys can take home this trophy and listen to the Trinity Force podcast every single night if you head over to iTunes and check us out. I kind of want to read a couple iTunes reviews. Since we're at the end of the
we've
show.
had up forever that we were supposed to read at one point but haven't.
Let's go to the show doc.
The show doc.
It's because
Let's dust it off here.
Can I read the first one?
Yeah.
Not a bad podcast, but please stop queuing about timers. My bet on this one is Pone had some teammates that didn't show up to Dragon in a solo queue game.
So Adam did nothing but bitch about it for 6.5 hours.
I've typed 1 minute in. Why aren't you doing it correctly? Hey, it was 5 out of 5 stars, so I'm okay with that. Lollapalooza also writes, and helps my game so much. The only problem with it is they don't make more. What? We make 2 for you a week. What more do you want?
It's just us.
Yeah, that's just us. That's not even the other shows.
That's a good point. Trinity Force Network trumps all the podcasts is why I'm Silver 4 after only playing 1/4 the amount of time as my friends who are still stuck in high bronze and Silver 5. Packed full of helpful information and humor to keep you engaged. This podcast is one of the highlights of my week. The whole cast is great, and I'm in love with DeClaude's puns. Well, I wish you could be in love with mine,
Well,
buddy.
they're better than yours, Adam, so
Your
they
puns
can't
kind of
be.
suck.
Please keep banging out the high-quality material. Great job. Another iTunes review. Such a great podcast. They give us great info of each aspect of the game. They also provide other sections of the network. Gamer tag. Love the community and all the puns. Keep it classy, T-Force. I didn't read his gamer tag on purpose. I didn't want to throw you out there.
You don't want to put them on blast?
Two-head panda. All right, next. This podcast is amazing. It gets me through the long work days. It's helped me become a better player and gave me great tips on how to keep teammates calm. The hosts are awesome and have great chemistry. Chira and Days keep it chill. Punch is very knowledgeable, and DeClaude keeps Adam in line. Thanks for not pointing out anything about me, except for talking about what DeClaude does to me. Can you shout out that my buddy Joe is a noob feeder? Joe, you're an asshole and you're a noob feeder.
Yeah, Joe, you're a noob feeder.
I don't know if that guy actually listens since he thinks I'm knowledgeable.
I think it
Doesn't add up.
There's a few more on there. I'm going to read all of them out regardless of how many stars you give us. I prefer 5. If you don't want to give us 5, whatever, go to iTunes, give us a review. Stitcher, I will read those out as well. You can find us Trinity Force Podcast. Just type it
If
in.
you give us a 1 or a 2 or whatever, please make it entertaining. Please. I would love.
Tell us why.
Yeah, no,
I
but
would
here's the thing.
love to read
Only
something
give us a 1 or 2 if you actually think we deserve the 1 or 2, but then make it entertaining.
Make it entertaining.
Don't just give it to us because Chiro wants you to make it entertaining. If you want to be entertaining, write me an email.
How can he be a noob feeder? Is this friend bad at... Is he actually... That's a double negative. He's actually
yeah,
calling
so
his friend good and all.
Oh,
You
his
guys missed that.
friend's really good at this.
Yeah, he's
Not very good at
he's-
feeding. Okay.
He's new at feeding.
Good job. You tried to insult your friend and use a double negative. Maybe we'll talk on grammar next episode.
Maybe you're the noob, dumbass. All right, guys, that's episode number 293 of the Trinity Force Podcast. We'll see you all next, or just Wednesday for the all-mid episode. Peace.
See you guys.